Hey, what's up guys? I want to quickly talk about the new weapon banner, and I normally don't do this because I normally don't recommend weapon banners to people, but the current weapon banner is so crazy that if you're ever going to pull on one, it should probably be this one if you need the weapons, and we're going to talk about them. Basically, every single weapon on this banner is insane. Both of the 5 stars are amazing. The 2 brand new 4 stars, which are limited time only, are amazing, and the other 3 rate up ones are very good, especially for specific characters. So while this isn't my normal type of video, I do think that I have to talk about this weapon banner because I want to give you guys my opinion on it. And first of all, I want you guys to know that I don't normally recommend weapon banners because they don't really have a safety net. What I mean by that is you could get really unlucky and never get the weapon you want. You know how when you look at weapon banners, there are 2 rate up ones. Let's say you only want one of them. You could get the other one like 10 times in a row and never get the one you want, which is why I rarely recommend weapon banners. However, this new weapon banner is so good that I think it might be worth pulling on if first of all you have enough gems and like you won't regret your purchase even if you miss pity or something, but also if you do need multiple weapons because a lot of them are really good, especially with the refinement. The new 4-star weapons, which we're going to talk about, are so good when they're refined, especially like Lithic Spear is just such a good weapon. So I wanted to quickly talk about those in this video. Try to keep it kind of brief. I don't want to take too much time, but I also do want to go in detail on the weapons because they're great. We're going to talk about each weapon individually now. First thing I want you guys to know before we get into it is that I stream almost every night on Twitch. Link in the description if you're interested. And that being said, let's get right into it. Alright, so this is the weapon banner, the new one that's coming out. And so you guys might notice a few things. First of all, there are 3 new weapons, as I mentioned earlier, which we're going to talk about. And first of all, I just want to say they're all really good. Staff of Homa and both Lithic weapons are great. But on top of that, you might also notice that every single weapon in this banner is really good. Both 5 stars, the Wolf's Gravestone and the new Spear, are insane. And every single 4-star is really good. And so what I want to do is quickly talk about every weapon, mainly focus on the new ones. But I also want to talk to you guys about these, just basically everything that's rate up, because you are going to be getting a lot of the 4 stars if you are going for the 5 stars. And basically explaining why I think this is like the best weapon banner by far, and it's just so good. First of all, I want to talk about the Widsith. The Widsith is an amazing 4-star catalyst. This and the Solar Pearl, which is the Battle Pass one, are usually just the best 4-star catalysts for any DPS, like catalyst DPS. It's great on like Klee, Mona, Ningguang, literally any catalyst that wants to DPS, because it gives you a ton of crit damage, and it gives you one of 3 things, either a bunch of attack, a bunch of elemental damage, or elemental mastery. And all 3 of them can be really good. The third one is useless on Ningguang, but in general for like a Mona, a Klee, they're just great. And obviously the more you refine this thing, the better it becomes. So, and at high refinement, it can be definitely competitive with like the 5-star books at refinement 1. So Widsith is amazing. On top of that, there's also the Sacrificial Bow, which I use on Diona on my free-to-play account, and I think it's just like the best bow for Diona. It's really good. Obviously, this and Favonius Bow are both good on her, but I personally love the Sac Bow because it gives you, first of all, it has a high base attack stat, which is kind of whatever on Diona, but it also gives you energy recharge and has a really nice effect where basically it can reset your elemental skill cooldown. You'll get twice the particles, and obviously the cooldown will be reset, which is really nice for Diona's shield. So Sacrificial Bow is just good for support in general. I mainly recommend it for Diona, honestly. I think it's the character that shines with it the most and who you should be using it on. So if you have a Diona, getting Sacrificial Bow and refining it is great because sacrificial weapons, if you guys don't know, get much better when you refine them because higher chance of proccing and it procs more often. Another weapon that's rate up is the Lion's Roar. Now, this can be really good, especially if you don't have a 5-star sword or something like the Black Sword, which is the Battle Pass one. Lion's Roar can be a really good option on characters like Keqing because the enemies you're going to be fighting, especially if you're running Electro Keqing, or you can still maintain Electro uptime, especially with like a official support on Keqing. This 20% damage bonus at refinement 1, going up significantly with every refinement level, and giving you a ton of attack is pretty good on Keqing. Now let's talk about the Lithic weapons. So there's 2 of them, the Lithic Spear and the Lithic Blade. Both of them have attack percent as the main stat and the same effect, which basically will give you a bunch more attack and crit rate for every Liyue character in your party. It stacks up to 4 times. At refinement 1, that is 7% times 4 and 3% times 4. So 28% attack at max stats and 12% crit rate. Now keep in mind that is refinement rank 1. This weapon gets significantly better at refinement 5. Obviously that's hard to get and not everyone will have that, but if you do refine these weapons, their effect gets much better. However, I do want to talk about both of these because depending on your team comp, they can be amazing. Like, yes, if you don't run any Liyue characters, obviously you probably don't want to get these, but since most of the characters in the game are Liyue, these weapons are both great, especially the Lithic Spear, because especially when you compare it to the free-to-play spears, the Crescent Pike and the Prototype Star Glitter. The Star Glitter is good if you need energy recharge, and Pike is good if you're a physical damage dealer, but if not, Lithic Spear can just outclass them. Something you need to know with the Spear and Xiao is that, first of all, it's really good with Xiao. Xiao is from Liyue, and you can easily run Liyue comps. However, it is basically impossible to have 4 characters from Liyue with Xiao. The reason I say that is because in an ideal Xiao comp, let me open up the party setup menu here. When you do run Xiao, you want another Anemo character. So because of that, you need at least 1 character from Mondstadt, because if you look, every Anemo character except Xiao is from Mondstadt. So you're already starting your team with 1 Mondstadt character, right? One of the Anemo supports. And then apart from that, you can run 2 other Liyue characters. Now Bennett is from Mondstadt, unfortunately, so you have to run another healer. So like this comp, for example, only has 2 Liyue characters, and even then the spear will still be good. However, if you do have 3 Liyue characters, let's say you're running a comp that looks like this and you have 3 Liyue characters, the Lithic Spear becomes insane. Now, even with 2 characters, as I said, it's good, and even at Refinement 1, it can be better than Deathmatch. Now, it depends. Actually, to go into more detail, a Refinement 1 Lithic Spear with 2 Liyue characters only, okay? So only Xiao and let's say Zhongli, 2 Liyue characters. If you don't have Bennett, this is a better spear than Deathmatch if you can, still have a decent crit rate damage ratio. It should just be the best 4-star spear for your Xiao. Now, obviously, with 3 Liyue characters, it's better, and it gets better, and with Refinement, it gets better. But the reason I say without Bennett is because if you do have Bennett, especially on 4 Noblesse Oblige, his ultimate gives you so much attack percent that you don't want more because of diminishing returns. It literally just, you don't need that much attack basically because of how much attack percent this spear gives you. It is, however, a bit more difficult to get a good ratio with the Lithic Spear because obviously like Deathmatch gives you a ton of crit rate, but still overall Lithic Spear is just insane and can out DPS Deathmatch depending on your comps and how many Liyue characters. Now, the Lithic Blade is also good, but I'd argue it's a bit worse because of the alternatives. Basically, I think Serpent Spine overall is still better because Serpent Spine is a really, really strong weapon. If you guys don't know Serpent Spine, it's available in the Battle Pass. Yes, it's not like free-to-play friendly, but if you do get the Battle Pass, it gives you crit rate and a ton of damage percent. So Serpent Spine is usually just the best 4-star for Claymore characters. However, in a Liyue heavy team and with high refinement, Lithic Blade is very, very good. However, it is still a better option than the Prototype Archaic, the Prototype Aminus. On DPS characters like Razor or Diluc, I would recommend this over the free-to-play option if you do get it. And for a Claymore DPS like Diluc or Razor, you can realistically only get 2 or 3 stacks. Usually you'd obviously want more than 1, but I'd say you'd probably have 2 or 3 stacks in your team comp. Assuming you're running Diluc Xingqiu or even Razor Xingqiu because of how good of a support he is, you already have 1 stack from Xingqiu, and then you just need 1 other Liyue support. And then you'll have your 2, which is already good. And if you get 3, you'll do more damage. Something else to notice is that these 2 4-star weapons are actually limited time only. They're limited weapons, which means they won't be available in the standard wish after. So if you don't get them now, pretty sure you're just never going to be able to get them again. And like if you're not running Liyue comps, you don't have to. But just know that they are very, very good options, especially the Lithic Spear. Just so good because it's like 4-star. You're going to get a bunch of them if you're going for like a 5-star. So you will be able to refine it if you get lucky. And so it's just great overall. Now, before we talk about Homa, let's actually talk about the other 5-star weapon, the Wolf's Gravestone. Now, you guys might think this is just a good Claymore, but a lot of people actually underestimate it and underestimate why it's good. Now, you guys might be thinking, Zylox, why are you saying people underestimate it? Everyone knows Wolf's Gravestone is amazing. But I see so many people saying stuff like, Pride has a higher base attack, it's better on Razor, it'll give you more DPS on Razor and stuff. And that's actually just not true because yes, it will give you more damage to your Razor when you compare Wolf's Gravestone to the other 5-star, the Skyward Pride at Refinement 1. But Wolf's Gravestone actually buffs your whole party. And that is so important because when you have like Fischl, Xingqiu, right, off-field supports that are doing a ton of damage, the party buff on Wolf's Gravestone literally outclasses everything else. When you compare everything at Refinement 1, obviously Pride at R5 is great, but at R1, Wolf's passive is so broken. So Wolf's Gravestone, best Claymore on like literally every DPS, just period. Skyward Pride is also good, don't get me wrong. Serpent Spine is amazing. As a battle pass weapon, I recommend it. But a lot of the calcs, you'll see a lot of the math on weapons will be like, okay, this weapon out DPS's Wolf's until the Wolf's passive kicks in and buffs your whole party, and then Wolf's is just the best. So if you can reliably proc this passive, buffing your whole party by 40%, like attack, that is so strong because, as I said, it'll buff your supports as well as your main DPS, so you do a ton of damage. Keep in mind for the current Abyss 12, this passive kind of got nerfed because it's hard to get both enemies. Basically, there's only 2 enemies, so proccing the Wolf's passive is very hard. But just overall, and when the Abyss changes and stuff, this weapon is just insane. And even without the passive, it's still a great weapon, but the passive is what makes it so good. Arguably the best passive on any weapon, or one of them at least. So yeah, Wolf's Gravestone, very, very good, but definitely not a must pull. Like, you can just run a Serpent Spine for $10 instead of spending all your money on a Wolf's Gravestone, but definitely a good weapon if you get it. I highly recommend it. And now what you guys have all been waiting for, the Staff of Homa. The Staff of Homa is a pretty insane spear. It's actually pretty broken. I'm going to be honest. For every single spear character, Staff of Homa just looks at least good, if not broken. It depends on the character, obviously, but let's just talk about it. So first of all, it gives you 66% crit damage, which is an ungodly amount. That is literally a circlet's worth of crit damage on a stat of a weapon. Look at my Xiao circlet. It gives 62% crit damage, which is less than Staff of Homa. And on top of that, the base attack, I heard some people saying Staff of Homa has a low base attack, whatever, which compared to other 5 stars, sure, some 5 stars can have 48 base attack at level 1, but Staff of Homa's base attack at level 1 should be 46, which is still good, better than 4-star options, just a good spear, a decent amount of attack, and a ton of crit damage. And that's not even talking about the effect. The effect is also great because it buffs your HP, which is whatever, but buffing your HP is actually pretty good because of the next part of the effect, buffing, giving you more attack based on your HP, and if you're under 50% HP, which is easily achievable if you're running, like, let's say Zhongli to shield you, or like a Diona, where you only heal when you want to and you can just stay shielded to avoid dying, you can stay under 50% HP and have a pretty high attack bonus based on your max HP and just get a ton of attack and crit damage. So this weapon is so good that even for Xiao, a character who, when you look at Homa, you'll be like, okay, well, it's probably not designed for Xiao because, right, it's designed on HP scaling characters, or that's what it's designed for. Even for Xiao, it is comparable to the Jadewing Spear, and when you're under 50% HP, looking at the calcs that Zhongli did, it actually seems to be better than Jade Spear DPS-wise. And overall, just in general, Jade Spear and Homa are pretty similar. I still like Jade Spear, and so I'm not going to get Homa to use it on Xiao. However, I just want you guys to know that even for Xiao, Homa is insane and very, very similar DPS-wise to the Jade Spear. Now, looking at the spear, you can see that not only the stats are crazy, but it also helps, as I said, HP scaling characters. So when we look at someone like Zhongli, getting that bonus HP, first of all, crit damage and attack are insane on him. As you can see, I stack a lot of crit so that my meteors do, in Benedalt, currently my meteors do 90 to 100k without buffs, except obviously Benedalt. But you know, my Zhongli is hyper invested. But if I had the Staff of Homa instead of Deathmatch, I'd basically gain a ton of base attack and a ton of crit damage and the insane effect of this Homa. It'll give me stronger shields and more damage because of my passive. If you guys don't know, Zhongli just deals more damage the more HP he has. So yeah, great spear for someone like Zhongli. And regarding Hu Tao, I know I'm going to get a bunch of questions about her, but I don't really like talking about leaks on this channel because I'd like to wait until the character's out before I give you a bunch of information, especially because I can't really do the math on her. I'm just going to wait till she's out and then tell you guys everything you need to know in like a detailed guide. But regardless, I want you guys to just know that Homa is just a really good weapon on basically everyone. And currently I'd say it's amazing on Zhongli and also very, very strong on Xiao. And so when you look at the banner as a whole, it's literally just a bunch of great weapons. Lithic Spear being an insane 4-star, Lithic Blade also good, Widsith insane, Lion's Roar and Sac Bow also very good, Sacrificial Bow being the best on Diona, and just a ton of good 4-star weapons, especially with refinement. All of these weapons get much better. And then both of the 5 stars are amazing. You can't go wrong, especially if you want both. If you only want one, you might get unlucky, but if you want both Wolves and Staff of Homa, they are both amazing. So just really good weapons in general, and definitely the best the best banner we've had, best weapon banner, so you shouldn't miss it. Now that we've talked about the weapons, I want to talk to you guys about some overall stuff to consider about this banner that I think is pretty important. First of all, like, it is still a weapon banner, don't forget that. So there's basically no really hard pity. Like, there's no guarantee. There is a pity, obviously, but it's a pity for either Wolves or Homa, which are both amazing, but there's no guarantee that you're gonna get the one you want. So be careful when you're wishing. And a lot of people ask me if they should pull on weapon banner as a free-to-play, and that really depends on your mentality. Personally, on my free-to-play account and just in general, I dislike pulling on weapon banners as a free-to-play because I want to collect all the characters I like and get the most characters possible, constellations on 4 stars if I can, stuff like that. However, if you are just trying to deal the most damage, min-maxing your count or whatever, this actually might be worth it. Now, it depends on you, and I know most free-to-play players won't want to pull on the weapon banner, and personally, I dislike it on a free-to-play account. Just do note that this is probably the best banner we've ever had. It's just such a good banner, and you can't really go wrong if you do want these weapons. So if you do want Wolves or Homa, like if you're fine with both, I would say it's fine to spend your gems on it. Like if you've saved up a bunch and you don't want like the next character or whatever. Basically, if you're spending money on a weapon banner, it should be this one. And if you're free to play and you're not sure what to do with your gems, ask yourself what you enjoy more. As I mentioned, I like to save up for new characters on my free to play account. But for min-maxing, like having just one Widsith or having like a Lithic spear for your characters is definitely worth it. It's just a matter of how you want to manage your gems. But it's definitely, if there's any weapon banner you should pull on or you should consider pulling on, it is this one. So that's about it, guys. Not my usual type of video. Let me know if you liked it. But I felt like, basically, I don't normally recommend weapon banners, but I felt like this one is so good that if you're ever going to pull on a weapon banner, it should be this one. Now, I'm not telling you guys to spend your money. If you're free to play, you know, you don't have to. But if you're ever, like, gonna pull on a weapon banner, or if you're considering it, I'm just here to tell you that this is a really good one. But you don't have to, obviously. It's just that this weapon banner is so stacked that I would recommend it. Come follow me on Twitch if you want. Subscribe if you want to. If you don't, that's okay too. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.